Hey, Truth Seekers, welcome back. Zach here. In the wake of Dean Smith's death, I want to talk about the death of Len Bias. If you've never heard of Len Bias, he was a phenomenal college player at Maryland who was drafted by the Boston Celtics but died 2 days after being drafted, so he never got to play in the NBA. What I want you to notice about this, what we're looking at here, is this is the ESPN episode about his death. It debuted November 3rd, 113. 11-3 is a lot like the number 113, which is important in the NBA. The name Michael Jordan with simple English gematria equals 113, as does the name Kobe Bryant. And to show you how these numbers show up, in Michael Jordan's career on January 13th, 1999, notice the 113, the numerology of this day is 33, Michael Jordan unexpectedly retired on January 13th, 1999, surprising the basketball world and changing the outcome of the NBA season. And in the case of Len Bias, this number is more than just this episode. He died at a location of 1103 Washington Hall. The word Washington has a simple English gematria of 130. Hall has a simple English gematria of 33. And what I want to show you real quick is a quick clip from this 30 for 30. We're going to see Brian Tribble speak. Brian Tribble is who supplied the cocaine that killed Len Bias. And this cocaine was said to be an ultra pure form that only governments and elites have access to. So we have to ask ourselves how this Brian Tribble, supposedly a regular Joe off the street, got it. Let's pay attention to the address where he dies.
This is not a normal seizure that I've ever seen. It's something's bigger than this. And there's no need to waste any time. Let's get it done. Let's call 911.
It's county emergency. Washington Hall.
Did you hear that, Truth Seeker? 1103 Washington Hall. Ritualistic. Having people killed in certain spots. No, I don't think that Brian Tribble himself is in on the 113 thing. I think what might have happened to Brian Tribble is he might have been offered a lot of money or some sort of deal that appealed to him to do this. There's so many variables out there, it's not worth speculating too deeply. But it's apparent that he had something to do with the death of Len Bias. And what's curious is he was living in a time when there were all these new major drug laws against cocaine. And he didn't do much time for anything. In his own life, he ended up being arrested shortly after the death of Len Bias, which happened in June. Brian Tribble was arrested August 6th for cocaine trafficking. So you can see that he's very much connected to this cocaine thing. Perhaps he was an agent for the government used to spread cocaine throughout the country at that time. Said that these people existed. Brian Tribble might very well have been one. And he might also have been used to kill Len Bias. In terms of sports history, this weird numerology and dates, it's shown up before. Take Lou Gehrig. It was July 4th, 7-4, 1939. See the 74 and 39 in here? Numbers we talk about often. And he played for the Yankees in New York, where 39 is a very important number. The numerology of this date is 33. And now all these years later, see, Truth Seeker, let me take you back in time to July 4th, 2014. That's when ESPN ran this story with this date. Shortly after that is when the Ice Bucket Challenge thing started. An Ice Bucket Challenge has to do with ALS. This thing that it was announced to the country on this 33 date numerology. And Ice Bucket Challenge itself has some very interesting gematria. It sums to 74. So it just shows how all these things connect. These same numbers used over and over for martyrdom, for sacrifice, for political purposes, from Lou Gehrig to Len Bias. Len Bias was killed at a time when drug awareness and drug laws were being pushed hard. Think about the Reagan administration, which was in power with all these new drug laws and anti-drug ads. Now they had a story to point to an athlete of dying from a drug overdose 2 days after the NBA draft. A story about tragedy. So there's more with Len Bias. In high school, Len Bias, named Leonard Bias, wore the number 33. He was born November 18th, the 322nd day of the year. We talk about the number 322 a lot. He was born on the 322nd day of the year. Go down here and show you his stats, Truth Seeker. So the name Len Bias with Pythagorean gematria sums to 26. And with simple English gematria, it sums to 62. This is interesting because the name Jordan is 26 and 62, just like this. The word Mason is also 26 and 62. Again, Leonard is a name with 33 gematria, born on the 322nd day of the year, wearing the number 33 in high school. He went to Maryland for college, which has a Pythagorean gematria of 34. Len Bias wore the number 34 for Maryland, the 9th Fibonacci number. Maryland has a simple English gematria of 88. So Len Bias has numbers on him, like so many star athletes. When you watch the 30 for 30 episode about him, his close family are interviewed and they say the most suspicious things, Truth Seeker. They talk about how they had this bad suspicion weeks before he died that something bad was going to happen. And it just seems strange. You think he'd be having all this success, he's being drafted into the NBA, he goes second overall, and these people are thinking he's going to die any day. And if you watch the episode, they explain that to you clear as day. And the mother figure in his life says that she didn't even cry when she found out he died, which to me just seems like such a weird thing to say. You know? What mother wouldn't cry? So, Truth Seeker, I just want to show you another clip from this 30 for 30 episode. I just want to show you how they just code these numbers over and over and over. Check this out. Little segment from the 30 for 30.
Different weights in the summer with the football guys start dedicating his body to, becoming a much better player and a pro. And after that, it was history.
Lenny Bias has had such a big ball game. Double, what to be made? Better, yes. Len Bias, 20 points in this ball game. 23 for Bias. That time out. 33 for Bias, and Maryland will use its last time out.
Did you see it, True Seeker? First they showed the number 33, also the number 26, the God number, and then they even had the voice overlay, scores 33. You know, they just have to get these numbers in there, and if you're watching this and never thinking about it, of course it's going to mean nothing to you. But once you understand what this is all about, you can see how sick it is, what's going on. It shows you that even ESPN is in on this. Again, they had this tribute on the 4th of July this year for this one to Lou Gehrig, and then shortly after, the Ice Bucket Challenge swept the country. So I've been watching this stuff with open eyes, and as my consciousness grows and my awareness, I see more and more how it's all connected. I was all triggered about this story before the Ice Bucket Challenge thing happened. See, Ice Bucket Challenge was about a month later, more than a month later after that story. They were prepping us here. We didn't realize where they were going to take us with this. All right, Truth Seeker. Here's Lou Gehrig. He died on the date 6-2. Remember how I just said the name Len Bias summed to 62 like Jordan? Lou Gehrig died on 6-2. The word Mason sums to 62. short for Freemason. So that about wraps it up, Truth Seeker. R.I.P. Len Bias. He died at the age of 22 before he could turn 23 after having his lifelong dream achieved. And I'll also point out that the only NBA team in a 33 state is the Boston Celtics. Their star player in history wore the number 33, and his name was Bird, which has a gematria of 33. Larry Bird now is in charge of the Pacers. Greg Popovich just got his 1,000th win as an NBA coach against Larry Bird, and he scored 93 points in the tribute. Remember, 93 is the number of Thelema, which many of these sacrifices are made to, possibly even Len Bias. So that's how the numbers stack, Truth Seeker. Until next time.